Good old 9/11. So I actually knew about this story back when I was about 14 years old. I used to watch a lot of Jesse Ventura. I used to watch a lot of, Michael Moore, Fahrenheit 9/11, and of course Alex Jones. I didn't really start watching until a few years ago, but, he actually knew about the 9/11, the scripts and what was going to happen. Okay, the CIA actually had scripts like 3 months ago, 3 months before 9/11 was going to happen. Okay, when it happened, of course, September 11th, but they had it back in July, June. The CIA had them. It was pretty, not public knowledge, but everybody pretty much knew that, and the people that knew, and they just basically, a lot of people say that they chose to ignore it. We don't really know what happened. We'll probably never know what happened. Those files have been long burned and buried. I've researched it heavily. There's like 500 smoking barrels. One of the most researched things in the entire world. There's about 100,000 tons of steel missing from the infrastructure of the actual 9/11 towers. Very, very strange as well. A lot of things that don't add up. So yeah, anyone that, believes the original story, the Warren Commission, all this different stuff of JFK and these different sort of, conspiracies, guys, these are pretty much clear-cut ones that are, they're not telling us their full details, which is fair enough. If it's a security breach, but 9/11 is a sad one because obviously 3,000 Americans died. Many more died after the fact because, of course, from the asbestos and the diseases from the mold that happened. But today we have Alex Jones talking about the CIA gave X files to 9/11 script months before it happened. Yeah, they knew literally months before it happened. Condoleezza Rice, all these different files, like all these different people knew. George Bush Jr. Okay, was on flipping holidays. It was a whole rigmarole, guys. Anyone that paid attention back in the day to Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore days. Michael Moore was more of a libertarian back in the day. He's more left-wing liberal, woke Marxist now. But back in the day, he was pretty much on the same wavelength as Jesse Ventura, Alex Jones. Like, Michael Moore was a pretty, riveting character, okay, coming from the poor Flint, Michigan, and different stuff like that. So it's interesting to see his perspective on this. So let's exactly hear what he talks about today, guys, on the Tucker Carlson show.
These are not minor issues. These are like the biggest things happening in the world. The most important things happening in the world. And the end of one system, ushering in of a new system. Millions in the end died because of all of this. Millions. And you're on like cable access in Texas figuring this out. Like, where is everybody else? I don't understand. Like, I worked at CNN at the time. And we had as you said, Peter Bergen went and interviewed Bin Laden. I'm not attacking Peter Bergen, but like, how come you were the only one who figured this out?
Yeah, by that time, I started out in 94 as a guest on Access TV and had my own show by 95, but I was on local talk radio. I just started getting, I've been syndicated a few years then, but but you're right. I was on Access TV as well. And that's where
you were like way out on the fringe. And all the people at the very center of our business, journalism, like they didn't see or didn't talk publicly about any of this. Like none of.
Michael Moore talked about this on his documentaries. Like they knew beforehand. They knew months and months beforehand. The CIA, they're going to take planes, fly them into buildings. We know it's going to happen. It's going to be done by Bin Laden, Taliban operators, whoever it's funded by, maybe these people. Nobody was indicted. There was never a trial. For Osama Bin Laden, so we don't even know, did he officially do it? We suppose he did it, but who knows, guys? I don't know.
Well, I saw Gary Hart on with another guest.
Gary Hart, the former presidential candidate, senator from Colorado.
I think it was the Hart-Rubin Commission.
Yeah.
I saw him in Congress with testimony earlier that year, and also saw him on, I believe it was CNN, or maybe it was Chris Matthews, MSNBC, but the clip's famous. And they say the world's about to change. There's about to be big things happening, big attacks.
When was this?
It was in early July.
It was before 9/11.
Yes, and they were very specific. So I should find that clip, can crowdsource that, and that was the final catalyst because they were basically telling the establishment, very thinly veiled, what was about to go on. So I sat back, I looked at it. And I thought years later, how did I come up with that? Because I don't just say a bunch of stuff, then most of it doesn't come true. I'm very specific on predictions, and almost all of them have come true. I thought that it was the spinoff of the X-Files, and I wasn't even an X-Files fan, rarely watched it, called The Lone Gunman that it turns out had come out in the spring of 2001 that I didn't even learn about because there wasn't, Facebook and Twitter and X back then. So if you didn't watch those entertainment shows, you didn't know about it. And then 6 months or so after 9/11, listeners start saying, have you seen this? And I had listeners send me VHS recordings off Fox TV of this episode where a criminal group in the U.S. government hijacks a jumbo jet in New York to fly it in the World Trade Center to blame it on a Central Asian terrorist.
I did not know that. That's crazy. So I didn't even know this part. That's crazy.
So that they have a pretext to take it over domestically with a police state and launch wars in the Middle East.
Wait, this was on the...
So X-Files was like a series back in the day. It was like your man from Evolution, the movie, way back. You guys, a lot of people watching this might be too young for that, but I'm nearly 30, guys, so I actually remember a lot of the X-Files and these different shows, like way before, even Wi-Fi, way before anything. It was funny watching that on kind of TV, I suppose, but they're old channels.
X-Files?
Yes, this is on the X-Files. And so later I thought maybe I got it from that, but then we found tapes even earlier, a month before that came out, where I had put it together on the radio. But here's what's crazy. Then I got reached out by some of the hosts of the X-Files saying, hey, Chris Carter told us that the CIA came to him with the plot of this and asked him some of the scripts that they would ask him as a favor to put this in as a TV program. And then later I corresponded with Chris Carter via email. He talked about this in the news, like in entertainment publications.
Whoa, that's insane. And, a lot of people don't understand. This is how the American media works, because they put stuff in TV shows to kind of prepare the public for what's happening. They put stuff in newspapers and movies, in TV shows to prepare the public for what's about to happen to them. They kind of get them warmed up. Like, this is a very, very clear example. There's so many different examples of that.
About, Alex Jones is a really good guy. And when they rebooted in 2016 again, he talked about the talk show host characters based on me. So I've talked to him, some of his crew, but he said, no, I don't know why the CIA... You used to interview him, came to me and said, here's the script for this show.
Whoa.
So it wasn't just Alex Jones saying that a government agency was going to...
We get cheaper
Dude, that's insane. Like, not even a government agency, like him, X-Files, like big time stuff, guys. That is huge, man, because, like I said, they prepare the public. They want you to know what's happening before it happens. Unreal.
Going to hijack a jet and fly the World Trade Center. The X-Files spinoff, the Lone Gunman, one of its main episodes was about that specific story.
This is just crazy. So I often get, people I know saying...
and they remote control and hijack the jet, the good guys, and keep it from crashing the World Trade Center. So why would the CIA come to Chris Carter and say, we want you to write this, and then it's released months and months before 9/11? So I'm not the only one. It was in the collective unconsciousness. I don't know. But I said 2 weeks before they shot Trump in Butler, I went on air and I said they're going to try to shoot him at a rally. That's obvious to see how desperate they were, how the lawfare didn't work. A lot of this is just...
Yeah, because they were trying to lock him up and then they wanted to kill him. But here's the thing, guys. 96 shows, rallies that Donald Trump did. Only one of them were shown on TV by CNN and Fox. 96. What was that one? Butler, Pennsylvania. They wanted to get him on TV getting shot in the head the same way JFK got shot in the head and killed as well. The same way they did that. It's unbelievable, man. Whoever's in charge of stuff is scary shit.
Studying how they operate. But so much of it now is John Podesta in August 2020, the New York Times wrote about it, had a big war game with the top Democrats.
Everybody loves
it. It's insane, guys. War games, mind games, psyops, God knows what the hell is going on.
Basically frame as racial, George Floyd on steroids, 10.0, and then we're going to drive Trump from office. Well, they were able to steal it, in my view. The evidence, I think, is overwhelming. So they didn't use that plan. Well, they started talking about that plan again in the months before this last election last year. So much of what I'm able to predict isn't really prediction. They admit it. The UN said for 20 years, we're going to use Disease X to bring in a global system, a global central bank digital currency, a global social credit score, a global vaccine ID that will be used as the global internet ID, global taxation ID. That's official. Bill Gates, the UN, all these big bodies preparing how they'd roll this out. You have the Rockefeller Foundation with Operation Lockstep 2010, 2011, describing locking down the sports stadiums, locking in your houses 6 feet apart, wearing masks for fear. I mean, and then George W. had that in the BioShield program that passed in 2005, where they sent out kits, millions of them to everybody, and to the Red Cross with the 6 feet apart, with the mask, with all the stuff. But they didn't launch the bio attack scare that they had, I think, locked and loaded then. They waited till 2020.
Wow.
So basically, you're just taking them at their word. You're just you're doing what I don't do enough, which is listen to people I disagree with and sincerely try to assess what they're saying. I mean,
they tell you, they roll out these ideas. They tell you before it happens. The Irish government do this as well. They tell us all their crazy ideas before it happens. I mean, come on.
She just said last week, a much worse, way higher morbidity. It's respiratory. It's coming. And you got hotels. Oh, don't worry. Trump's going to have a big problem. It's going to come crashing in on him. We'll see how he tries to reboot the economy. And then you learn Fauci and all of them are involved with Obama and Chapel Hill in North Carolina creating COVID-19. It was a big scandal, 2015, gain of function SARS. And then they move it to Wuhan to plausible deniability so they can kind of blame the Chinese if they want. I'm not saying the Chinese are good. The Communist Chinese are terrible.
We're not saying the Chinese are good. Communist Chinese are terrible as well. They do horrendous stuff.
Kind of a joint project. And then they roll it out. Then they've got their so-called shot that's mRNA. I mean, this stuff is all very well planned. And so when you see him up there lying, going, no, Senator Paul, it is you that is wrong. No gain of function. And then it's in all his emails. This is gain of function. And he has public symposiums in defense of gain of function. And I mean, he's Mr. Gain of Function. If he was a superhero, he would just, have gain of function on his chest and the back of his cape. And then he's like, I don't know anything about that. And so, I mean, they
all know everything about all that crack. It's crazy.
Guys just treat us like children. And so they kept saying, we're going to use a virus, we're going to use a scare to bring in our global government. I remember Lou Dobbs in Judicial Watch 2006 sued to get North American Union documents. And in it, they're meeting up in Banff, Canada, and they're like, we're going to use collapsing migration flow from a virus to flood the West and use that crisis to bring in a new Marshall Plan. We're going to use a disease X to, finally get the world to accept this global government. So they're just scheming constantly. They have Event 201.
But in public.
In public. They have the SPARS war game 2025, 2028 that came out a few years before 2020 in the viral release that is actually set in 2020 to 2024. Jeez. And it rolls out how they're all going to do it. The tweets that are in there are almost word for word. They just changed the name SPARS to COVID-19.
Wow.
So it's a blueprint. And then if they get caught, it's not a viral attack plan. It's just a war game. But the war game matches the exact rollout of the attack, so they're all in script.
So in a normal world that rewarded, excellence and prescience, you'd be a billionaire because of your predictive powers. I mean, huge companies, governments hire people who can piece together fragments of evidence to create an accurate picture of the future. That's a huge business. I know a lot of people in that business. George Friedman, guys like that, are really, really smart people.
Today I'm trying out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Alex Jones would be a billionaire. He's obviously got a few things wrong, of course, but
you have got the best track record of all. And I think it's so telling that rather than reward you for this or call you up and be like, Alex Jones, you're like, what do you think's coming next? They're like, no, we must eliminate our own First Amendment to destroy your life, which is what they've done. That seems like a pretty clear indicator of their guilt to me.
Well, what they don't want is compartmentalize good people in industry and government, not just here but around the world, to listen to what I'm saying, go check it out for themselves, find out everything I just said is on record. Anybody can just type in anything I said, and it's from their own documents.
Yeah. I mean, this is mainstream. It's crazy.
And then people will basically put the glasses on like They Live and see it for themselves.
Yeah. So it's like I love that movie They Live, guys. I always reference that movie. They Live. Go watch that movie. Amazing.
Telling them what to see, like the corporate media does, brainwashing people, and selling them a lie that two men can have a baby and there's no X and Y chromosomes and communism's great and open borders are wonderful. No, I mean, I'm simply saying see this for yourself. I liken it to those hidden image paintings. And when you first can't see the hidden image, you're like, I can't see. Once you do see it, you can't unsee it. So I'm only trying to get people to go look at what I'm pointing out and find out. I liken this whole thing to you have the adult table with the CFR and the Club of Rome, the WF and the UN, the think tanks, the RAND Corporation, and they're at the adult table at Thanksgiving, and the general public and even a lot of the politicians are compartmentalized and naive. We're over at the kids' table, and we'd actually listen to what the adult table, because that's their arrogance. They admit 99% of this in their own battle plans, as if we are too lazy or stupid to ever go look at it.
Yeah.
And that's part of a confidence game they have with their own people, their own corporate intelligence operatives, their own government intelligence operatives, their own networks, and all these other guys on CNN, MSNBC saying they're going to kill you. And he goes, just a moment. He goes, I'm going to have the Secret Service call you. In about an hour, they call and they go, what's going on, Alex? Trump told us to call you. And I said, you don't know about this. So he goes, here's our email. And I sent the Secret Service this, as if the Secret Service doesn't know they were all over TV saying we're going to kill Trump. So
it's possible they caught that, yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, the Secret Service nearly failed. I mean, they nearly lost it. They nearly fumbled Trump. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I love you all so much. We're going to keep exposing these big agendas. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.